The following program is intended for a mature listening audience. Graphic and explicit language may be heard at times. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily express those of this station or sponsors. Listeners are advised that neither this station nor its owners and agents shall be held liable for the content of this program, rebroadcast, redistributed or reused, without express written permission by host or producer is not allowed.
This is the Debbie Perkins Radio Show. And here's your host, Debbie Perkins.
Welcome to Hollywood Red Carpet Radio Show, Part 2. I have some incredible guests here. We have Jack Carey, and we have Siren Wind, two of the most incredibly intelligent people in the cosmos, I'll just say. Okay? Welcome back to the show, guys. Jack, we'll start with you, and let's talk a little bit about the books that you've published, a little bit about each one of those, and then we'll move over to Simon.
Oh, Lord. Well, I have a lot of books out there because I've been doing this for so long, but you know, probably the one I would tell everybody that I have a new release, and it's called The Devil's Key, and in it I basically trace all of the evidence for the idea that there are vast quartz crystal deposits around the planet. These quartz crystal deposits can become ionized, and when they do, they're able to open interdimensional doorways. When that happens, we get intermittent contact between us and life forms on other dimensions, and we describe that as paranormal in nature. And so I present a number of cases in The Devil's Key and basically discuss the actual scientific mechanism that would have to take place for that to occur. Hopefully in an effort to kind of zero in on what the mechanism is that's occurring, that's causing all of these mysterious missing person cases in these various areas where there are large quartz crystal deposits. So
that's awesome. Now, do you have the name of your books?
Yeah, I sure do. If you just do an author search on Amazon, all 10 of my books will come up. I have published books on Bigfoot, on cryptid animal. I have a North American cryptid animal guide. I've got a book on the dog-man phenomenon called Dog-Man Legend Meets Science, in which we actually discuss the science behind the sightings of what might be an actual living species, you know. But if you do an author search, they'll all pop up, and each one covers a different type of paranormal phenomenon. So,
wow, that's incredible. And Simon, talk a little bit about your books, and because you've got a lot going on as well.
Oh, yes, there's actually 6. There's 6 that you can find all on Amazon as well, versus, saying all the different titles, because they're very, very different. Different frequencies and energies, and they're all healing and activating with variations of color frequencies, number sequences, a word, which is high frequency poetry that stimulates, activates, opens, clears, expands through light codes, geometric templates. There's geometric drawings that are ancient codes that are very similar to, a lot of people have said they're similar to things they've seen on ancient pyramids, structures, etc., meant to activate one's own dormancies. So some of the different books have openings for journaling, automatic writing. They might get sparked to write their own light languages, have remembrances that way. one specifically is called Activations for a New Earth. And every single book, for example, especially that one, is created on a different part of the magnetics of the earth. So there's different energies within it and different information that would come through. Another was Let There Be Light was created on the Eclipse Gateway with all the energies flowing through the Eclipse Gateway, and it was on the direct line of totality. Like literally, there was a Caltech science person there standing between two trees saying, we're here to give a presentation because this is the direct line of totality for the North American line. And I just happened to be there. So this whole book was sparked through that, the energies, light, frequencies. And if you do a search of my name, kind of like Jack was mentioning, on Amazon, you'll find all 6 with all of the descriptions, as some are in full color with different intentions that, you may be drawn to different ones at different points in your life to expand with. So all energy transformational, activating to essentially accelerate remembrance of what we all have as inner dormancies.
That's incredible. And I was looking a little bit at the writing. I've never seen anything like that, other than, like you said, the Egyptians. How did you learn this? Because I wouldn't know. If I was in your shoes before you wrote, I wouldn't have no idea what I would be looking for.
Right. Well, when I was younger, probably 3 to 4 years old, I would spend hours and hours drawing. And in my early days of school, we were in a Catholic grade school, and I would draw these symbols in Mary's halo. I was drawing these symbols in Mary's halo, and we had nuns, right? They were saying, "What is that? What are you doing?" And that's what I was seeing in the halo, in the light, was the different symbols as ancient information, which some people call light codes, light language, which one code has so much information and ancient technology that can do so many things when it's active. And that was this original spark of creating the books with the poetry, was that it has the potentiality when active to really activate a multitude of things, bridge, anchor, energy. It can clear, it can open, it can transfigure, especially the geometric templates. We look at, blueprints and divine design. There's all these different functionalities of light codes. And so, depending on the book, they're specifically created for those purposes.
Wow. And Jack, have you ever experienced anything of like what she's talking about? Because these codes that she's talking about, because I've never heard of them.
I have not, but what comes to mind when she discusses the like symbols and stuff is the sort of lost language of Enoch and the angelic beings, that Edward Kelly and John Dee were said to have channeled, and they were presented with this language, one symbol at a time backwards, this alphabet, which is interesting because it's since been studied by philologists, people that study the formation of languages themselves. And this is a complete language. And they say that it's impossible for anyone to just invent a language. And here's one that just appears out of nowhere, out of thin air, in history, complete with syntax and you name it, all of the things that make up a language. And they got it from, ethereal beings.
Right.
It's almost like you're getting downloads from something of a higher being.
Right.
To get that knowledge to create, I don't know, is it like letters or is it symbols?
Well, it's more, I guess somebody would probably say more symbology looking, because it's not an actual alphabet. But what's within it, because we're basically writing light, is what's happening is it's light, and it's technology. So that which is in each symbol is completely different, but there's just a massive amount of information within it, say whatever the purpose is, whatever it's holding, whatever frequency that it's vibrating at, whatever potentiality it has, and when anchored or offered in a certain way or a certain place, can completely transform energy. It can bring through a multitude of possibility, and everyone really has that possibility the same way they have telepathic communication. Everybody has a possibility for that as well, innately, where we're returning to now. But essentially, light language or light codes is a soul-to-soul transmission that is felt, like that sensation that's felt, not necessarily like translated sentence to sentence, but it'll have an intentionality to it, or how somebody's experiencing it, whether they hear it or they see it. It comes through hand movements, etc. There's a transformation of energy. There's an anchoring. There's and a lot of like these ancient structures or buildings, it was encoded in a way that it couldn't be deciphered to keep it pure, at the right time to be released or to be reinstated, when the consciousness of the planet and humanity was able to not invert it, because a lot of these things were inverted when the technology was brought out, and then it was misused or created in a way that was not ideal, right?
Right.
See, let's not NASA get a hold of this, because that special language is maybe connected to something else way higher than us. The beings are maybe there's a possibility these beings are using this to help you becoming connected, because what is your thought process?
Well, there's different perceptions on the codes in the languages. That some people will say that they're actually like channeling a being or a collective, or it's coming specifically from someone or somewhere, or knowing it's somebody that walked here in a body at some point, connecting with them to share information. But I specifically don't channel from other beings. Like, I don't call for anyone or bring anyone through. To me, it's my soul language. It's the codes that I'm carrying, and I'm bringing it through language, through the frequencies I create for like meditations, for the energy sessions, for transforming energy is literally source energy through me, through my vessel, as it's tuned, and as I'm tuning and toning it to create an effect of transformation or anchoring or shifting or opening, and depending what I'm doing, if it's with the earth or with someone working with their multidimensional layers to clear, access, activate, will be different. So it might sound differently, it might come out differently, it might be a conjunction of the hands and the tones, or where it sounds like an actual language. But it all depends on what's in those codes, what's in them, and what are their intention. So somebody may even perceive it differently than another, the way that they hear it sound. Just as we perceive a sentence or somebody's, what they're saying differently, you could say something to someone, and someone in the same room will hear completely different translation, and you might even say, well, that's not what I said. It's like, well, they'll perceive it how they perceive it, or whatever it'll bring up or out or activate within them, or sometimes trigger even in some kind of a transformative way, will be based off of the energy of it. So that's how you see some of the ancient languages, they look different. Different translations, different codes are from different star systems even have a different way of writing. Some are horizontal. I typically write completely vertical, where it's up and down, and it's not always the perceived left to right. It's whatever's coming through, or the geometrics of it has a very specific configuration for whatever the function is.
And the up and down is Japanese too. I do believe that's how they write, is in rows, going like that. Not like we write like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they have also similar, like, I would say similar like codes, because their letters look more like, little houses and lines and dots. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've seen different, like, those kinds of languages or calligraphy, and it has sort of a similar layout, you could say, because it's more vertical, and there are some strings of the translation or of the code that are connected, where the code lines are connected. Each part of the information is connected. Some are more individuated, where there's a small symbol, then there's another line, depending on what it's actually for. But it does have sort of that look to it, in a way.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. Now, Jack, what are some adventures that you're looking forward to doing moving forward? Because I know we've only got a few more minutes with you, and I would love to get some more information out of you. So,
sure. Well, I did want to touch on that whole language idea, because these symbols really is what they mean by these non-human intelligences, right? And each one of those symbols equates to a number, and each number equates to a frequency, right? This is called a notaricon in like ancient Hebrew. Actually, you can do this with ancient Hebrew too. But what you can do is actually mathematically imagine a language constructed in such a way that you can mathematically construct words that contain entire sentences within them, so that when you speak a sentence, you're actually speaking like 10 sentences, right? But that are pronounced in such a way that they emit mathematically accurate harmonic frequencies that work like a hacker code on the reality matrix around us. Yes. Imagine a language that you can speak a word and cause instantaneous change in the reality matrix around you. That's the kind of language that the Enochian language appears to be.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's the potentiality of that as well. I mean, it has to be activated and intentionalized in that way. Otherwise, it's just like people talking with no energy in it. It doesn't really do anything, right? But it's the aware, when you come to the awareness of the frequencies and how you're imbuing that, then it has real transformation potential.
Absolutely. And you asked the question, what I'm up to these days really is preparing mentally, physically, spiritually for the changes that are about to sweep through the planet and humanity in ways that are really going to take your breath away.
Do you have any advice for people that are unaware?
Yeah, I've been telling people, this is the future few months, and really going all the way into like 2027. We can describe that as the end of days as we understand our concept of time, right? And really, there's only a few things you can do, because this isn't a bug out situation. This is a bug in situation. And I've been encouraging people to sort of learn how to sort of fortify their homes, find a space within your home, turn it into a zen garden-like meditative space where you can retreat from the chaos waves coming from the world, because it's going to be pretty turbulent on the old great space roller coaster, as I like to call it. And we have to remember that there's, in my circles, we call people that are not really initiated into this understanding that we all share, normies, and the world is full of billions of normies, and they live in a carefully constructed illusion with white picket fences and the whole thing, and all of that's about to get ripped out of their hands like a little security blanket that a baby's holding, right? And that's going to be a lot of change all at once. And so it's going to be important to kind of find your own safe space, make your home your safe space, make it your castle, make it your fortified fortress, make it the place that you can sort of hunker down and just get through the next few months, because on the other side, good things occur. Webbot talks about sci-fi world emerging. We're going to come up to a point here where all of the money that's been used to keep all of this alien technology we possess a secret, that all dries up and goes away, right? Doge was a big part of that. Doge found 13 magic money machines in the treasury that were just printing money that was going into all kinds of black holes that they can't even trace, black budgets, just printing it.
Wow. Wow.
Nobody even tracking it. In fact, it didn't even have the codes on it to be able to track how much they had printed. Right? Well, the Webbot says that all of that money
to break the country.
Yeah, that's being funneled into these deep, what they call special access programs that contain all of this back engineered alien technology, and all of that money dries up. And when it dries up, so does the secrecy surrounding it. And that technology gets leaked out into the populace. And once it does, we have sci-fi world emerging. Amazing technologies, even medical technologies that will allow for long lifespans. Imagine living 200-300 years easily. That
I wouldn't want the wrinkles of a 300-year-old person, but I kind of, it would be nice to see your great grandchildren.
Right.
But imagine what your body would look like.
You would regenerate that.
Freeze preserve.
Well, they'll be able to, right now, they can almost 3D print you an organ made out of your own DNA.
That's crazy.
So,
that's crazy. I don't think we should have that type of power, to be honest.
Right.
I think our DNAs are perfect the way they are. I mean, not everybody's perfect, but you know what I'm saying? Perfect as the human being can be.
Right. But I would, and I would tell everybody out there, there's going to be some scary waves coming. There's going to be some scary waves, but on the other side of those waves are good things, because we throw away all of the old castings of the old age, right? All of the secrets that keep us imprisoned right now on this planet were all accrued over the age of Pisces. And the age of Aquarius is the age when all secrets become revealed. Well, think of each secret as it gets revealed in our event stream as a species, causing a little earthquake going off, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You got a lot of these earthquakes about to occur, because each one, there are repercussions for secrecy. And those repercussions are felt on the backside when it's no longer secret. So all of those secrets get revealed. That is the Great Awakening. That's the great freedom that awaits us, the liberation that awaits us. But it's going to be a shocking sort of long, period here where we have earthquake after earthquake of secret being revealed. Everything you can think of is about to just come out. Everything from the JFK assassination to alien technology to the Epstein files to the fact that it appears as though there have been human beings engaged in an eons long communication with non-human intelligences in order to keep the rest of us enslaved. All of that comes to an end.
Right.
Wow. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing all of that incredible information with us. I'm very blessed to have had you come and share with us. I think we're helping to educate people on the different aspects of the unknown. And like, I've never heard of this stuff, so to me it's interesting. Great. And I appreciate your input, your knowledge, your study, because I know that it could not have been easy to find a direction to study because there's so many different things. Like you said, you work with a lot of different things. But now you are going on tour, is that correct?
No, I'm not going on tour anytime soon because of the next few months. We're hunkered down here now.
I hear you. There's going to be some stuff happening. We don't want to.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise travel if you have the means and ability to get away from highly populated centers. That would be advisable. The website does say, and I'm not an economic guy or a financial advisor of any kind, but it has for a long time predicted that the metal silver utilized in all the high technology, right, will become, it will become what it phrases unobtainium. So imagine a metal so valuable that it's literally unobtainable anymore. Like it goes on parity with the price of gold, and then it really takes off because the silver market, and I'll leave you guys with this, the silver market for the last 80 years has been manipulated in such a way that these banksters have been able to write derivative contracts against their manipulation. Derivative contracts that literally go into the many, many trillions, even hundreds of trillions of dollars. All of that comes to an end. Their ability to manipulate the silver market ends, and when it ends, all of that comes back to roost. And that is the absolute end of the petrodollar and the debt system as we know it. So we have that to look forward to. Yep.
We need that now.
Yes. It's coming. We're going to have real money soon.
Oh, wouldn't that be something, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be ironic? We finally, people will be stop the starvation, stop the homeless. Well, as best as we can. But and then maybe they can fight against the drugs because that's killing people left and right. I mean, it's sad, but like all of us have lost people to fentanyl. All of us. It's so close. You don't think it's real until it's in your circle. Till somebody actually young, usually young, dies in your circle. So hopefully all of this benefit will help to heal all of us.
Absolutely. And I foresee a time. I'm a firm believer that people utilize those substances because they're treating the pain caused by all of the secrets that we've accrued over this past age. All of that comes to an end, and I think when it does, the need to try to kill the pain will also come to an end because we'll have a fresh, new, actual understanding of our reality and the nature of the universe itself. So
that's amazing. Thank you, Jack, for joining us.
Thank you, Debbie. Anytime. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you, Jack.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Isn't that amazing? It makes me think, like what direction should we be moving in, Siren? Like, because of the energies, and you know so much about the different energies. If somebody like me but I don't know nothing about it, and just interested in learning. Well, how would you, or what direction would you take somebody in that is interested, but yet they've never thought, like, how do I go about learning?
Right. Well, the simplest way is tuning into yourself when you're still, when you're in stillness, meaning that, say you're, outdoors is a great place to connect, a great way to connect and feel energy. Just allowing yourself to feel energy is a real basic beginning point, where if you're feeling the sun, you're feeling the sun on your face, how does that feel? How do you feel when the birds are singing? Really simple privileges being on earth. We're surrounded by matter and we're surrounded by beauty, and how does it feel to receive that? Helps us in our present moment to be present in whatever our experiences, that nothing is mundane. They're going to the grocery store isn't mundane. There's so many possibilities that we could feel and allow ourselves to feel, which will help us tune into our heart and allow us to through these processes of transformation, all these transitions that are going on, it'll help us stay present and also reset our own energy, because we can literally reset our energy even if we experience something that might feel a little stressful, or another person that is having a more difficult time. Once we allow ourselves to really be present with our feelings, we can shift out of that so much faster just by tuning in. So really refining our own energy and finding those simple delights, like, the birds or the sun or going for a walk, that allow us to reset and allow us to connect to really the infinite source of energy, by any and all names, source, creator, God, all the names that is the same energy. It helps us connect to those fields of purity to show us how to go within, how we can go within and find our still point, our heart, what makes us happy through our own transitions.
Because when I want to reconnect with myself, I actually go swimming in the river.
Right.
Not in the lake, not in the ocean, although the ocean does work for me too, but in the lake, in the river. The river gives me energy. I don't know how that water balance, because we're all made up of mostly water. I don't know how that water base works for me, but I always feel it's almost like, it's like, I don't know if it's like reborn or my energy level is where it might have been more closer to negative. Now it's more positive. It's almost like it cleanses me.
Right.
And I don't know if you experience that, but that's my form of meditation pretty much. It's like when I can dip my feet in and still get that rush of positive.
Right.
And I don't know if it's Native American waters or how that works, but I'm a firm believer that things in nature can bring us right back to our original form.
Oh yeah, it's primordial energy, and it has a memory. Water, we're filled with water, and there's a memory, there's a harmonic, there's a tone, there's a frequency, and if we're in the water, that sheer movement or the ripple or the sound of water is working with our system. It's working with our nervous system, it's working with even our brain, our sensations, our pores. Everything can be felt there, and whether it's all known the entire details of what's occurring, the water as a conscious element has the helpful co-creation to do so. And it really is, it's simple and instantaneous. It can be that, like the term "go to your happy place" could really be something that simple, right?
Because we all have one, and
Right.
and I think that we don't tap enough into the happy place. Like, we're so in a rush, in the hustle and the bustle of our lives, we can't stop to smell the coffee, let alone the roses. We just don't, because people rush us. And I want to say most of us, well, not the younger generation, but our generation, comes from a generation where you had to be a little bit slower. That was a benefit to you because, if you are always rushing, you're going to trip and fall. You're going to get in an auto accident. Something's going to happen that if you were just a little slower and you were less worried about, I've got to be there in 5 minutes. Instead, take it back a little bit and go, okay, I'll be a few minutes late, but I'm still going to be good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, all of these things that are going on are the opportunity to learn presence again, to come back to the present moment, come back to the simplicity of breath, not be in a rush because what happens with a rush? Nothing that's in presence because you're focusing on your next moment, so you're not even in the one that you're actually in. You're planning for the next one. So how will you ever arrive to where you're going if you're not where you're at right now? So it's helping.
Yeah, you're jumping lines. You're jumping time.
Right. So it's in a roundabout, orchestrated way, this whole series of experiences is helping everyone to come back to center, come back to presence, come back to intention. What are we intending? Because certainly, however it would feel to be rushed doesn't feel, nice, right? Doesn't feel desirable. Yeah, you're not enjoying it. It's just a process.
Oh, and I think when you're rushed, your brain is not in a place where you're comfortable. You're not relaxed. You're trying to beat the clock, but you're also like you said, the time frame. Things are off.
Right.
So let's just say everybody take back a step and just be more patient because the generation we grew up in, we had no choice to be patient. You couldn't just pick your phone up because it rang because it was at your house. You had to get home to get the phone call. You didn't have an answering machine and you didn't have a maid. So you had to get home and then hope your friend calls back or your business partner or whoever and that you're home enough to catch the call. But there was no oh, they're not calling me right back, so they must not like me anymore. People have jumped to conclusions because of this new technology. It's pushed us in a direction where we don't even think anymore. It's thinking for us at all times.
Right. Well, the purpose, too, is coherence. The brain and the heart, coherence, all of the systems, especially the nervous system, where the nervous system gets out of whack and then nothing is communicating to each other within. And then the exterior, all the body, the energy body, everything gets a little wayward. But coherence is where you're in balance, you're in harmony and balance, and creating that is part of that is presence. Being present, it feels different. It has a different energy to it where there's not really any space for the thoughts to be doing all those other things. Or getting into those wayward cycles, or even magnetics where other people that are in those chaotic energies won't even come around, or you might not be visible to them because they're in a completely different dimensional frequency and they're blurring by because they're in a hurry and you're in the water for a swim. So it's you don't even need to expend any energy on what you're not doing or what you're trying to not have happen because you're coherently creating your reality, which is really who we all are as these creators of our reality, and reminding ourselves through all of these cycles is how to do that, how to harness that, how to create that in a way that's aligned for each soul, why they came. When we dissolve all this other stuff that's so noisy, the distractions, all the confusion, all these distortions that are falling away, then we can come into that hearing ourselves, knowing what we're feeling like, feeling our intuition, knowing what's right for us moment to moment, instead of a notebook planned full of things that are no longer relevant to who we are right now or where we're going.
And I think that people manifest the wrong things. They want the easy fix. They want to manifest things that are quick and I want to say instantaneous. They see something, they have to have it. So they manifest it into their life, whether it's good for their life or not.
Right.
That's to avoid the manifestations of negative things or things that are just not meant to be in their life.
Right. Well, something that was kind of interesting when I was a child, because of the telepathic way I was seeing the energy when people would have thoughts, like I could see the shapes and the colors of what they were thinking. I was so confused. I was confused how I could feel their thought was one thing, and then they were saying something different than what they were thinking, and then their outcome was a third thing, which was nothing like what they said or thought, because it was all this decoherence, because their thought and their intentions were different. The energy they were emitting was different. So their result was even furtherly different, and they were so, their outcome would be, frustration, anger, irritation, etc., because there's nothing communicating in proper harmonics with each other, because they're all saying a different sentence over on the top of each other. So it was communicating in their reality something that they'd say, oh, I don't want that. Well, of course, more of that, what you don't want, is happening, because nothing is even talking to each other. They can't hear each other because they're all on different planes. I mean, in a way to look at it, right?
Oh, sure. And something that Jack was saying, I was wondering about your intake on that, where he was explaining that the next few weeks there's going to be a lot of weird things just kind of happening to all of us, and to meditate. What are your thoughts on that process or just that subject in itself?
Well, I know that everything that needs to be dissolved is, because it has to collapse. I mean, that's, in order for everything to be rebuilt correctly, all this other stuff has to dissolve. But that also makes the space for what's correct and aligned and proper order to be rebuilt. That's what's making the space, is to move all this other stuff out of the way, clear it out. So there's going to be waves of, you could say information, energy movement, shifts in the earth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and on all these different structures that need to come apart. And it's so vast of what's been, out of harmonics, that it's going to fizzle apart in so many different ways. But if we focus on those things, for example, like going for a swim, going for a walk, focusing within our heart, finding something that makes us happy, that brings us joy, that makes us feel centered and comfortable, happy, joyous, friends, etc., parks, hiking, drawing, journaling, or even moving energy through journaling, then we don't get swayed into these other things. It doesn't mean we're denying they're not happening, but we're focusing on why it's happening, because it has to happen for the reconfiguration and the unification. All of this stuff has to get cleared out, because you're not going to build a new house on a structure. Say you have a structure that's, a 1900s house, just an example, but a 1900s house, and it needs renovation. You don't just start patching it with drywall and right? It's going to fall down again. You have to take it all the way down.
Yeah,
right.
You don't even know the bones or what's going on with the inners of the walls. Because I personally live in a 220-year-old house, and God forbid you take a wall down in this house. They're made like bricks. They're solid all over. But if you do, I have no idea what's in the walls. I'm afraid to find out. I don't want to find John in the walls.
Right. You don't know what you're going to find. And
No,
that's
you
the thing.
don't know. No, you don't know.
Yes.
I don't want to, and I'm
Okay.
not ready to find out. But
Right.
I think that's funny. That's so funny. But now, is there anything that a person could help themselves, their body, their shell, dietary wise? Is there something that people could ingest that will help them through this process? Because if you didn't notice, there's a lot of people with lactose intolerance, peanut allergies, all these different things that when I grew up, if you didn't eat your peanut butter sandwich, your parents would kill you anyway. So, all these new things that the next generation, the new generation, are all allergic to. Dietary products like milk and creams and butters. God forbid all of my kids have lactose intolerance. Now, if you didn't drink your milk when you was at the dinner table, you weren't getting anything else. So I'm just trying to figure out, is there something that our bodies would much rather have in them that will help us through this process of the waves, because we all want to eat healthier and we all want to have a good shell.
Right. But water is huge. Lots of liquid water, but the intention that is within the water too. For example, you can technically purify and change the energy of anything. And there's a lot of engineered foods. Obviously, the soy is a big one, causing all the endocrine disruptions. Beyond that, like so many other disruptions within the body, the soy and all the goo that's in these engineered foods. And so to purify, if you're going to look at the salad foods, come to natural foods, organic, something that is grown in the soil or greenhouse preferably. But if there's ever a question, change the energy, pray over it or say thank you, but you give gratitude to your water, your food. That will change the energy, just like anything else. How you are with it before you actually eat it is a huge thing. There's people that'll drink certain kinds of things, for example, and say before they drink it, oh, this is going to kill me. Well, then they'll get them sick. But if they're going to eat a cookie, but if you eat a if you eat a cookie and you love your cookie before you eat it, all of a sudden that cookie is the most delicious delivering of nourishment cookie.
If you're I got water. I don't want to have water. I'm going to drink the water. But then the water don't taste as good.
Right.
Or your brain says to you, you don't like this water. Right. You're not going to like this water.
It's huge.
But if you go, oh my goodness, I can't wait to drink this water. Yeah. Now you've just changed the whole program, the whole DNA of the water.
Just the whole frequency of it.
Oh, I need it to refresh me. So when you drink it, your thoughts are refreshing. Then it's refreshing.
Exactly.
We trick ourselves.
And we have that power in any moment to do that, to really transform anything like that. You'd say, oh, it's just a cup of water. No, it's actually much beyond that, because look at how vast water is. Look at how big your system is, how much water is within it, or your blood, or even your brain, your neurons, your cells, and without getting scientific, because it's not necessary. It's just simple, looking at how everything functions from within to without. It's a mirror. And how are we going to treat ourselves, or if we have gratitude for what we have, brings more of that, versus, it's just, it's just a bag, it's just a cookie. It's like, no, it's the most amazing peanut butter cookie I've ever had. It's going to be so delicious, so appreciated, so received. Your body will receive it differently. It'll digest it differently. It'll process all of it differently.
Yeah, that's funny. That's really great to know, though, because now you got me thinking totally different about what I put in my body.
Yeah,
because I think I actually needed to hear this, because we all at times neglect ourselves, like driving through McDonald's or something. like being able to like detox from garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
You know. Now, before we get ready to go, we got a few more minutes. Tell me what you're going to be working on, or what your future in the next few years looks like for you. Like, is there some things that are coming up for you? What would you like to be doing?
Oh, yeah. Well, very immediately, I guess you could say, is there's a Full Disclosure Now conference in Florida in July. I'll be there as a vendor with my books, with frequency transformative tools. And there's so many speakers there talking about very much similar to what we've been discussing: disclosure, energy transformation, evolution, humanity's emancipation, freedom. And it's also a great place to connect with other people that are doing amazing things. So that's the next more immediate event coming up for me. I'll be there along with many others, and that's in Florida. And have a few other conferences coming up later in February. The Conscious Life Expo,
Wow.
and yes, Los Angeles will be in Los Angeles in February. So we'll be doing some traveling, sharing information, sharing frequency, positivity, energy, and also, sharing with people how they can be their own transformers of energy, because we all are sound healers. Even though there's tools of the books, the sound healings, the meditations, the energy sessions I offer, it's also to reflect to people they can do the same thing. Yes.
I was going to ask you about that. Do you train classes, or do you do galleries or something that brings people to you so that you can work one-on-one?
Yes, I do. I do healing sessions, frequency sessions, one-on-one. If they're in a different part of the globe or the country, we can do it through a Zoom call. But that's also why I like to go to events as well, so you can meet others. But in person, through the one-on-one, I have group events that are online and in person on my calendar page, which is on my website. Also shows the upcoming events I'll be at on the calendar page, as well as the description of the book. So there's lots of tools, meditation tools people can download to help them center, to ground through these processes of change. So there's a lot of tools. I like to create different tools for people they can use on their own, so they can explore intuitively how to use them.
Now, do you have a podcast? Because your website, I saw the podcast site. Was that podcast that you've been on, or is that like your own?
That's mine. Yeah, it's
Really?
Returning Home, Cosmic and Unity Consciousness is the name of the podcast, and it's not on a radio channel in the way that yours is. It's on recording, and then it'll be on my YouTube channel. So I have, through the YouTube channel, which you can also find on the website, a link as well. There's podcasts, there's frequency meditations, there's attunements, activations, and other roundtables. I like roundtables also, where people can come together and talk, learn together.
So we got a couple minutes. Tell people where they can get a hold of you.
Oh, sure. Well, my website's kind of long, so hopefully you can put it in the chat box, maybe. It's inner, INNER, like inner within, intergalacticenergyhealing.com. So they can find everything on that website: the YouTube, the Facebook, the events, the calendar page, the book links, how to find the author page through Amazon. They can find everything there. Or if you Google my name, you probably can find a lot of that information also, as it's spelled. It usually links to the website. So yeah, they all have interwoven through the main website, where you can find schedule energy sessions through there, one-on-one or in person. I welcome in person also, and I'm in Arizona, so...
Excellent. That's awesome. Siren, thank you so much for coming on. I've had such a great couple hours with you and Jack. I feel blessed.
Yes, me too. I so enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you.
It was wonderful. We'll have you back. So that's our show, everybody, for today. And I want to thank you for listening. And join us in a couple weeks. And I'll be having another surprise. You just never know with us. Well, thank you again. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.